Hey everybody. Hello, hello. Let me just see. I feel like my camera needs to be just slightly modified. We won't jiggle too much, I promise. I need to get a more stable stand for my laptop. I feel like it always has just like the slightest of tilts. Oop, we got a mute. Hello, hello. Now you can hear me talking. That's better. Always a little bit of a blunder, huh? So hello, hello. If you are stopping by to watch today, oh my goodness, I went dead for a second. I'm very sorry about that. It said I had an issue, and I don't remember what that was. Good morning, Heather. Good morning. Good morning. Sorry about that little bit of a delay. Not fun. Like I said, always a little bit of an issue. Marisha, hello. Hope you're having a good day. Thanks for stopping by, friend. I tell you, it's always something. Always something. But hey, the magic of going live, I suppose, right? So thank you guys so much for stopping by. Sorry about that brief blip. Fingers crossed, we're only like 2 minutes into today. Let that be the only thing that goes wrong. We'll see. You never know. But I hope everyone is having a wonderful Valentine's Day. I thought it would be really fun if for today's live, if we did just some last minute Valentine's Day ideas. And this is going to be a little different than what I normally do. Usually I try to pick one sort of topic and just sort of make a single project about it. For today, I am going to make 3 cards. And I want to just kind of talk about how this is going to be structured because this live is solely dedicated to those last minute projects. You woke up and you've got like an hour before you got to head to work and you forgot that it's whatever holiday or whatever birthday and you've got to crank something out. So we're going to take advantage of Valentine's Day today because it's Valentine's Day. And we're going to use that as a theme to make 3 cards. The first card that I'm going to make is going to be the longest one, the one that includes the most detail. And the goal is I'm going to try to keep it under a half an hour. And then I have 2 cards to make thereafter. And I'm going to try and make those cards even less time consuming. So the goal is at the very end to have a card that hopefully takes 10 minutes or less. Something that we can talk about the little finishes on a card that make it look nice without it being overly time consuming. So let's get into some details. So I'm going to switch over and I do have a countdown screen that I want to go with. We will get into that when I get to it. Let's see. All right, there we go. So I'm going to just talk really briefly about the products I'm going to be using today because I am predominantly using Pretty Pink Posh products. I love Pretty Pink Posh. Paulina, the owner, has a fantastic selection of products, I apologize. And I am going to be using, this is I think it's called Lots of Letters stencil. It's a 3-layer stencil. I've got the layered Cupid item stencil. I have the Love You shadow die. And I'm gonna use, I think, a couple elements from the heart card base. This item was added last minute. It's not currently found in the links below. I will add it after my live. I promise. I just didn't get to it in advance. So these are going to be what we're working with for today. And like I said, we're going to do 3 cards and they're going to keep getting less and less time consuming. Oh, you are so sweet, Marisha. Thank you so much. I know you went live earlier today too. So look at us going live on Saturdays together. Go us. So thanks for being here today. So let's go ahead. Let's get into it. And of course, this is my second live. So bear with me through everything. I'm still getting my footing with it, but that's okay. I've got all of my projects organized in some large stack and sort trays, and I do want to go ahead and put on a countdown. No, this is a timer. A countdown counts down. This will count up. But I just kind of want to hold myself accountable for the time for each of these projects. So what I'm going to go in and do, let's go ahead. I'm going to click start, and we are going to start project number 1. All right, we are good. So for our first project, we're going to do some layering with stencils, and then we're also going to make a shaker card. I think that these are a couple finishes that really help make your card be extra pop worthy. And one item I also want to bring up that I'm doing with this card is that I used a stitched rectangle die cut. This is from Stitched Rectangle Die Set #1 by Pink and Main. I think using stitched dies is a great way to get a finished edge on your projects without having to put too much effort in. So if you're in a little bit of a time crunch, yes, the quickest thing you can always do is just cut that paper so that you take that letter size paper, turn it into A2 size. But I also think if you've got a little bit of extra time to do a stitch die cut, that is fantastic. We are going to, for this card, I am going to use the letters stencil by Pretty Pink Posh. And since this is a layered stencil, I need to sort of get some items ready. Now, I am not a big sticky mat user. I like to use my sticky mats more so when it's I'm using a smaller die cut, so they're held into place nicely. So I am just going to kind of get this together on the fly. And let's see, this is A2 sized. And then this is a 3-layered stencil. I'm not going to do some super crazy detailing with it. I pick 3 colors and we're just going to blend them. So the darkest or the lightest color, I apologize, I'm just going to line this up as best as I can. We're going to use that corner as a guide. I'm going to make a little bit of a well. Let's see. Just like that. Now, I might be cheating because later on I think I'm going to keep the same well, but stay tuned. All right, so we've got this, and then I'm going to tack down my stencil. We're going to just do like that. How are we doing? Oh, we're already at 2 minutes. Oh boy. It's funny how time flies quick, right? So, all right, what we're going to do is first, I'm going to go in with pink. I've got a Kitsch Flamingo ink, and I just want to use this as a base. This is just going to add a little bit of a darkness to our already pink bubblegum paper, but it is going to make it just a little bit more noticeable. So I'm going to go in. I've got a blending brush by Tailored Expressions, and yes, I am kind of rushing my blending. Of course, if you have more time, the softer you can blend, the more time that you can take to blend is really going to give you that extra time to make things look perfect. That's just unfortunately not the theme of today's live. Today is about getting something as ready as quickly as you can. So like I said, using a stitched rectangle die is a great idea for when you are on a time crunch, but wanting to still give your card those finished edges to make it look in your eyes like it's got some time and effort put into it. All cards have time and effort put into it, let's be honest. But we want to make sure to have those finished edges because at the end of the day, that really is what makes our cards pop. That's my opinion, at least. I think it's all about the finished edges. We can all color an image, but when you take the time to blend colors together and add textures to things and splatter details on there, those are all the little details that at the end of the day really make up something wonderful. And I think it's a lot of the times what takes your projects to go a little over the edge too. Hello, Kristen. Thanks for stopping by. Happy Valentine's Day to you as well. So I'm also going to try my best to not seem rushed during this. I still want to enjoy myself, talk to you guys, and have fun. But if I go a little quickly, I do apologize. So, all right, let's go ahead. Let's remove this stencil and see how that Kitsch Flamingo just created a nice sort of pink shadow of sorts. So we're just kind of going to use that and go on to the next color. And next what it's going to be is I've got layer number 2. I'm going to fit it into this well. It should fit. Everything should kind of fit nicely. At least I hope it does. Is that right? Yeah, that's pretty good. All right, so we're going to go ahead. We're going to tack this down. And this one as well. And next, what we're going to go ahead and do is, let me go ahead and switch this over to my chat. There we go. No. We don't want to do that. My goodness, I clicked my chat screen and it's like, do you want to ban this person? I'm like, no, we don't want to do that. Brenda, I agree. These are really cute stencils. Really, really cute. So, all right, I'm going to go in now with some abandoned coral. And we're going to use this as our second stencil color. And we're just going to kind of go over. And because this is a little bit darker, it's going to layer really nicely on top of the Kitsch Flamingo. Now, the colored cardstock that I'm using, it's bubblegum cardstock by Gina K Designs. I love Gina K Designs cardstocks. I am a little bit of a cardstock snob. For a very long time, my 3 cardstock of choice that I've had are Gina K Designs, Concord and Ninth. I love their cardstock. And then Tailored Expressions, because they also have a wonderful collection of cardstocks. But recently, Catherine Pooler Designs, also, they're celebrating their year of color. They came out with a cardstock collection of their own that also coordinates with their inks. So I have added that to my favorites. I have to still grab a couple of their neutral colors. I have not yet grabbed, they have their Over Coffee color as a cardstock, and I love the Over Coffee color. It is gorgeous. It's like a dark craft paper. So like it stamps really well on craft cardstock. But the color itself is just beautiful. So I definitely need to grab that, add that to cart. Have not snagged yet. Also realizing that I'm going to need to put something down to protect my fingers and my project from getting re-inked. That's really good. I'm really happy with how centered that is. Sometimes when you use a layered stencil, it doesn't totally capture what you're going for. So, or you like accidentally just very slightly misplace something. So I am happy with how this looks. All right, let's see. All right, so now the last thing we're gonna do, we've got all these little hearts. I'm gonna tack this down with my mint tape, trying to reuse as much as I can. And then the last color I have is we're gonna use a dark red. We're gonna go with Lumberjack Plaid. Hello, Jamie. No, Brenda says, good tip. I'll try that. I've noticed with the sticky mat grabs the blending brush too much for my liking. I like the sticky mats for like detailed blending. I just haven't really been able to enjoy it as much when it comes to like stenciling. I don't know. Maybe I just need more practice. Now, one thing with layering stencils, now we are in a time crunch, so this is not something that I'm doing today, but something that is great is your very last layer when using a layering stencil, they're usually little details like this. See, it's just a bunch of hearts. If I had the time, what I would love to do is have the opportunity to use like a red glitter paste over this for all of the hearts and then let it dry. I just don't have the time to do that today for today's topic, but that's okay. All right, so we're gonna just kind of get as best of a coverage as we can. Now I am going in a little heavier handed with my ink, and that's because I can see with some of the hearts where the envelopes kind of crisscross, and I want to blend as much as I can so that it's not still peeking through. So this is a really cute stencil. I do have it linked down below. If you guys have not played with Pretty Pink Posh stencils, they have some of my absolute favorite stencils on the market. What I love about them is they don't have super crazy details. Some stencils out there really have those like super delicate edges that you gotta like use a pixie spray to get it tacked down, or you've really kind of got to go in with like a lot of care. Pretty Pink's Posh stencils are very approachable. You can make them as intricate and colorful as you would like. As you can see today, we're doing this just with 3 colors. For this stencil itself though, when I was getting my links ready, people are able to go in and like the examples, they have like multicolored envelopes that you can use. So you can do like a rainbow if you wanted, whatever works. But I do love my Pretty Pink Posh stencil collection. I keep on adding to it. They have fantastic layering stencils and a lot of stencils. I don't want, for like very unique opportunities, like they have a buildable winter hat layering stencil. I love that. They're like little beanies. So let's see, let's get our final result. I think that is super cute. We whipped this together in 10 minutes. We're going to do a couple other brief things to it. Just to make sure that we are entirely happy with our final project. So I'm going to wipe my brush off real quick. And then I want to go in I thought I heard a crack. Cracking when you're crafting is not a great sign, but that's okay. Beverly, red glitter for the win. I agree. I love red glitter. I'm going to go in with some abandoned coral and just sort of lightly distress the edges just to give it a little bit of a variation. All right, so I'm just going to kind of keep going in. Kind of keep going. And we'll do a little bit of splatter work too. Try to keep this nice and easy. Now I'm using abandoned coral. I didn't want to go in with lumberjack plaid. I thought it'd be just a little too dark. There. But we are going to splatter with lumberjack plaid. All right, so we've got that. That's very pretty is what I'm trying to. Oh, and I just took my well off. Oh well. We'll use it later. So I'm going to use my lumberjack plaid. I'm going to smush it down. Taking a clean watercolor brush, I'm going to add a little bit of water like that. And then pick it up and splatter. Now I could use a splatter box. I know some people are like, oh my God, you're not using a splatter box. It just happens. See, am I missing? I feel like I'm missing comments. Oh, a little bit. There we go. We're good though. So just going and splattering. I like to splatter as well because then if I have anything that's like a blemish, it sort of covers it up a little bit. Now, if I had more time, I could splatter with a paint, but I am happy with how this looks. So let's go ahead, bring this a little closer so you can see it. Loving how that looks. Perfect. Yay. Okay. So next, what I want to go in and do is when this is fully dried, we're going to prepare this and we're going to make this into a shaker card. And I'm going to use the Love You shadow dies in order to do this. And it's going to be an inlay card for shaker elements. So let's see. Yeah, we're good. Hello, hello, Polly. Hope you're having a good day. All right, let's see. So we're going to have a great day, Marisha. Thanks for stopping by. So I'm going to take the shadow of Love You and I'm going to I want to do it so it's kind of in the center, but a little elongated like that. I like that. Maybe up just a little bit. Perfect. And then I'm going to take some mint tape. Thank you so much, Christine. It is cute. I love the stencil. We are going to cut into it, but that's okay. So then I'm going to take my die cutting machine, and this is a Platinum 6 by Spellbinders. All right, we're at 13 minutes. We're doing good. We are doing good. All right, so I've got my love and my you. I am going to take these and set these aside for later. So I've got a little scrap bin. So we're going to use that. But I've got my love you all nice and cut. So what we're going to do next is pretty easy. So we're going to take out of my bin, I've got some acetate. And I just want to make sure I have enough to cover this. And it looks like I do. Let's see. I want to eyeball it just to make sure we're good. Do I have my paper trimmer? I don't. Where is my paper trimmer? This is what adds up time. Here's my GDK paper trimmer. Oh, I had my other paper trimmer ready to go. So we're going to go in. I just want to make sure that this is cut to be just under 4 inches. Or just over 4 inches, I apologize, since we're working with A2 size. And this is Lawn Fawn acetate. And I don't have to use all of this. So let's trim a little bit more off. Perfect. Perfect, perfect. So see, I have just enough acetate to kind of cover up these back of the letters. And I'm going to do this with some liquid adhesive. And I'm just going to kind of go in. All right, we're at the halfway mark and we're already putting our shaker element down. So we're doing great. You do want to make sure though to get it on these little inlets just so they're stuck down. Awesome. And then I'm going to take my acetate. Sometimes I feel like acetate is not a very polite word when crafting, but it's just acetate. It's not, you're not saying anything else, Justin, even if it sounds like it. All right, so we're going to let that sit for just a minute. So while this is sitting, let's talk about what we're going to do next. So I need to make a little bit of a well for where these letters are going to go. And for that, I do have some foam tape. Before I have a huge noise. Sorry about that. All right. So what we're going to do is I've got some foam tape and I am going to start to make a well for where all of these little shaker bits are going to go. So it's going to be, I want it to be like up here, down here. And then like that. All right. And if anybody has any questions, let me know. Just because I'm moving quickly does not mean I'm not here to help. This is just the part where I get a little quiet because I get real focused on freaking tape. That's okay though. I'll flip this just like that. Ooh, that's a little bit of a narrow piece. That's okay. Do like that. And then do like this. That's my only thing is if I would have made them a little bit more contained, I wouldn't have had to worry too much about this, but it's okay. But here we go. We just kind of had to go around a little bit. And this doesn't look pretty. Luckily, we're not going to see any of it. We're doing 18 minutes almost. There's that. All right, we're getting there. I agree. Rain sticks. That's a great way to put it, Jamie. I agree with that. We are going to use some shaker beads. I know I've got them linked down below, so some of you may have seen that already. But I am using the what they call Love is Kind beads. I thought they were Love You Lots, but I am wrong. But that's okay. So, all right. So we've got that. I'm also going to just add a couple pieces of tape to sort of reinforce this, because we are going to put a piece of paper fully on top of it. Sometimes I forget that you can see my face, so you can see me going like this, you know, when I'm getting everything ready for a shaker card. That's okay. And then I pay attention to my face. I'm not paying attention to what I'm doing on the mat. And then I pick up all these pieces of tape and whatnot. My goodness. It's going to take me a minute just to get all the foam tape backing off. My goodness. All right. We're getting there. What I love about this is I don't have to be like super, super accurate with how I lay this, my backing layer down, but we'll talk about that in a second. So what we're going to do next is I've got my Love is Kind beads. I know my workspace is a little bit of a mess. And there's a little bit of blue in there, but I didn't have another bead mix that I wanted to use as much as this one. So we're just going to kind of really gently pour these into place. I think that's more than enough. And then we're just going to start taking the backing of all of our tape off. Jesus, I wonder, gee whiz, I wonder how long this is going to take us. And we already got one jumper. I didn't want to pour all of my beads after I took the backing off, because then you knew the beads were going to be sticking to the backing. And this is just crazily a little bit more manageable. I agree, Jamie. I think that the blue contrast does work really nicely. So, all right. So as we get all of this backing tape off, let's talk about upcoming events. So I think I'm going to probably end up sticking with Saturday Lives for the foreseeable future, but we're not going to do one next week. I'm going to be out of town next weekend and almost the entire following week. I am heading to Orlando for the Kindred Stamps retreat, which starts on the 20th. So super excited. Husband and I are going to fly out on the 19th after work. And I'm going to be having some. Orlando is like my favorite place because of Disney World. So I am so excited to be going there. We're going to have some park days coming up. Of course, seeing friends, crafty loved ones, all the things. Families down there. So we're kind of checking all the boxes. Disney is truly my happy place. I'm a little bit more of a Disney World than a Disneyland person, but I will take any opportunity I can to go to any Disney park. I love Disneyland too. It's just, I've been to Disney World, maybe more at this point. I don't know. All right, so I'm going to take an A2 sized piece of, this is Cherry Red Cardstock by Gina K Designs. I did check earlier. This is currently sold out on her website. However, I know she also has Red Velvet, and Red Velvet is pretty close too. So what I could do is, if I had like an edge, I could kind of line it up that way and like push this into the corner. But this is just going to have to work without you seeing the entirety of my head covering. So let's see. Okay, that's pretty good. So we've got our shaker bits. Now what I'm going to do next is, I did already cut out Love You that I want to kind of inlay. And all right, we're going to do that. And I need my tweezers. But like I said, the Cherry Red Cardstock by Gina K is currently sold out. You can, of course, set a reminder to know when it is back in stock. But there are some other colors of hers. Like I said, Red Velvet. I think Red Velvet might just be slightly more muted than Cherry Red. I think Cherry Red is pretty bright. There's also Red Hots. I think that's got a very slight bit of orange to it, but honestly, depending on your color palette, could be totally fine. So, all right. All right, so I've got this. I would like to tap off some excess. Do I have any excess paper that I can use? Let's see. Let me grab this little white piece right here. Just to not have too much smushage when I put this down. All right, there we go. Just kind of put it in like that. And then we're going to do the U. I'm glad you guys like this. I think it was a really cute technique to try and capture during like a quick live. And we are only, like I said, 24 minutes into this live. Not too much else going on. So I love that we kind of were able to whip this up really quickly, because I think a lot of times people think that shaker cards take a lot of time, and they definitely can. However, with a couple shortcut techniques. I think we can kind of approach them a lot more simply. I think using a simpler color palette definitely helped in this instance. I'm just going to kind of tap off the excess. And then, oh, I am looking right now. Let me see really quickly. I am seeing a little piece sort of peeking through up there. I'm wondering if I could grab something to fix it easily. Let's see what I can grab. No, where's my pokey tool? Oh no, I don't know where it is. Here is a pokey tool, but not the pokey tool. So let's see. I don't know if I'm going to fully be able to fix this. You know what? It might just... I think we might got it. That's pretty good. You know, it's little enough that no one's really going to notice. That's okay. All right, so we've got our U into place, just like that. We are at 26 minutes and 20-something seconds. So let's see. I say let's put on a couple embellishments, and then we can call it. So I've got some of these Sweet XOXOs, also by Pretty Pink Posh. Let's just put it off to the side. And let's see. I don't want to use a lot of them. So we're going to do a white heart. Just like that. And then, let's see. We'll do an XOXO. I kind of like to use these XOs just as like little embellishments like this. So I'll put like an X. And then we'll do a pink O. Just like this. And then let's see, let's do a pink X and a red O next. Okay, push like that. All right, we got 2 minutes, and I am not worried. Maybe a little bit. All right, and let's do another white heart right there. And then what else? Give me one last one right here. And I think that'll be it. All right, we are almost there. One last thing. Cleanup does not count. You can, because you could walk away from your desk and clean it up another day. So I will clean up on time that is not included in our countdown. So I've got a prepared card base. And let's get this nicely put into place. Just like this. And I think we've got it. We've got a super cute shaker card that works really nicely for Valentine's Day. And we did this in, okay, I got to stop the clock. It doesn't count until I stop it. Okay. 29 minutes and 22 seconds to make a shaker card. Now, yes, I cheated because I did have die cuts ready in advance. So that kind of can possibly not work in your favor. But I mean, we're also going to use some of our die cuts from this card for the next card. So I think that's all fun stuff to do. I think that these stencils are super fun for some detailed techniques. I definitely think that this is a card that if you handed it off to someone, nobody would think that you had to like that you rushed to get it done. So definitely something nice to keep in mind. Will I be giving this to my hubby? I have already given my husband his card. I gave him another Pretty Pink Posh Valentine's Day card. If you go to my feed a couple weeks ago, I had shared a card that I made with a ghost on it that says "Boo Mine." I gave that to him because that's sometimes we call each other Boo. So I thought it worked really nicely for the holiday. So this will just get added to my stash for next year. You never know who's going to pick it up and or who I'm going to send it off to, or who's going to end up accumulating it. I've got family that likes to shop my stash of cards, so this could totally get passed around. So we will see. So all right, so we've got card number 1 done, 29 minutes and 22 seconds, and that means my next card has to be done quicker than this, but the goal is to get it done in 20 minutes. So let's see. So we're going to clean up first though. So I think that's a really fun technique. I love that we still have some other cards to work through today. This next card is going to kind of take what we've done already, but remove the elements that are time consuming. So card number 2 is not going to have a shaker element. I think at the end of the day, the shaker element is probably the number one thing that takes up the most amount of time. So we're not going to do that. The other thing that we're not going to do is we're not going to use a 3-layered stencil. So I'm not going to be using the letter stencil once again. We're going to be using a different stencil, but we're still going to be ink blending. I think that ink blending is still a technique that gives your elements a nice finished component to them. So I do recommend still doing it. All right, let's see. A couple comments before we start our next one. That's really that is true, Jamie. You could give that any time of year. I think the color palette leans a little bit too much into Valentine's Day, but you can also take that exact layout and do whatever color palette you want, and then it doesn't matter. I mean, really, if you wanted to, I mean, it may not be festive and fun. You could do Halloween, you could do Christmas, you could do 4th of July if you wanted to. Really, any sort of color palette will work nicely. And I love that using sort of that monochromatic color palette, but with pops of white, really brings that sort of stenciling effect into really amp it up. And I think that that's a great tip when you're using a colored cardstock too, is to use colored inks that are adjacent or exactly in that color family. So, all right, so I've got things kind of cleaned. My desk is a mess, but it's always a mess. It's fine. So let's go ahead. We're going to start getting into card number 2. Let me get my little kit out. And this one is going to use the Cupid items stencil. And this is another thing that's going to be different. This is a 2-part stencil, not a 3-part. So it's going to be one less layer to deal with. Brenda says you can walk away from your desk, but the card is still done. Exactly. I can clean this up whenever I want. And probably it will not be today because I am in the middle of so much crafting today. I have since last night, I have 6 projects done, 7 if we count the card we just did. By to the end of this live, since I've gotten home from work yesterday, I will be 9 projects in. That's pretty good. I'm very happy with that. Okay, so let me go in. I need to kind of work a couple things off my desk. I just dropped something. So we'll pick that up. Okay, so next, we got to reset this clock. Gonna take a drink of water. All right, 20 minutes, and we're gonna get into it starting now. There we go. Okay, so for this card, I'm going to kind of lean into a coral color palette a little bit more. And this card is going to have ink blending, stenciling, and it's going to have some die cutting as well. And we're also going to incorporate a little bit from our last card into this card. I've actually been keeping from my prep work, I keep a little tray of all of my scraps ready for future card making. So we're going to pull some of this in. Depending on time, we'll look at this. So, okay. So first and foremost, I have Sun-Kissed Coral is the cardstock I'm using, another Gina K cardstock, and we're going to use this with the Cupid Items 2-part layering stencil. And let's go ahead and get our stencil area ready. So I'm going to grab some tape. Ooh, Y'all, we're doing it. Oh, and I got a little squirrel that just jumped up on my little patio. I'm right. Oh, he looks fuzzy. It's that time of year. They're probably like extra chubby squirrels. But it's that time of the year that wildlife is trying to get whatever little bits they can of good outdoor weather. So I can hear the birds chirp a little bit. It makes me excited for something a little bit warmer. But then again, you never know. You never know in the Midwest. I'm in the Chicagoland area when the next winter storm is going to brew. And that's okay. All right, so I'm going to make my little well. I'm going to try and get this in. I do use a magnetic craft mat by Glassboard Studios. And what I love about the size that I'm using is there's etchings on there that I can kind of keep track of an A2 size space. So I'm doing that. So we're going to take our Cupid item stencil like this. Make sure to use the correct size. And we're going to put it into our well. Just like this. Now, when you're using layered stencils, you do want to make sure that you're lining everything up. Part of that is you don't have to necessarily use the intended front side of a stencil. You can use the back side of it if you wanted, but it also kind of depends on the stencil. This is not one that I would say use the back side because it says XOXO. It's possible that if you flip it over, it might look like you have OXOX, but if you rotate it, it's XOXO. It's things to think about, things to plan for. Things that I feel like I have that math equation floating around my head like that one meme. So things to keep in mind. So, all right. So sun-kissed coral, mint tape to hold it into place. I think I need one more piece because I don't trust that piece up there. And then we're going to go in, I'll kind of clean it off my brush just a little bit. And let's go in. I'm going to use abandoned coral distressing because I want to kind of use the same colors. And we're going to go in with that. Try to get as best of a coverage as we can. All right, let's see. Oh, thank you so much, Jamie. This is also a really good stencil. I agree. So, I'm very excited to travel next week. This is always, I work in heating and air conditioning as my day job. And it's just a very interesting time of the year always because it gets so cold. And I always say we work in a comfort driven industry. And this is definitely one of the times of year, let me use that magnet really quickly, where people can get uncomfortable and agitated. And I'm excited to take a little bit of a break, but then also to come back and start planning towards when the weather warms up. And then my husband and I, we have had a lot of travel plans lately. We have traveled August, October. I don't remember if we took a November trip or not, but we took a December trip, a January trip, and now we're taking a February trip. My goodness. And I'm not bragging. I promise you, I'm not trying to sit here and be like, oh, look at all the traveling we do. It's been wonderful. I love making memories with my husband and traveling, but I'm also looking forward to being home. This looks really pretty. I love how this looks with the abandoned coral ink on the sun-kissed coral paper. But yeah, so just a lot of traveling recently. Always excited to go places. We're actually heading to the next travel destination is I surprised my husband for Christmas and got him tickets. Well, I got us tickets. I mean, I get to benefit from it too. To go see the new Cynthia Erivo play of Dracula in London. So we're doing that after Mother's Day in May. So that's really exciting. Dracula is my husband's favorite novel. And I am obsessed with Wicked. So it was kind of like one of those things that we need to go before the show closes. We love London. It's our first European destination that we are repeat traveling to. Everywhere else we've just kind of done once. So we're very excited to get back and do that, but that'll be a little in the future. Hello, Jude. So glad that you tuned in. Hope you're having a great night. No, it's not night. Afternoon. You know what? Then I don't know what part of the world you're from, but if you're in the U.S. like us, it's not night. It's afternoon. We're gonna go in with some lumberjack plaid ink and just sort of go in like this. I don't know if I have my stencil perfectly placed, but we're gonna work with it. It is what it is. But my husband and I love going to London to see shows because we love going to see our shows. We've been to New York a couple times. But New York shows on Broadway get real pricey, real quick. And even sometimes, like whenever we go see a show in New York, we always kind of end up in the balcony just because trying to stretch our budget. We'd rather see more shows with like not like great seats than go and just see one with like really great seats. But when you go to London, their shows are the cost of them are subsidized by the government, so you can get really good tickets generally for not a lot of money. For example, we're going to see Hercules when we go to London, and we just got our tickets yesterday. And I want to say we're like second row, and it's like $100 a person, which I'm not throwing terms around. Like $100 is definitely a lot of money. But if you were in New York and wanted to see a show that was like running fairly new and is fairly popular, you would be paying a lot more than $100 to sit in the second row. All right, so we got this lumberjack plaid using those same colors. Oh, that's so cute. And you know what? That stenciling is pretty on point. I was worried it wasn't going to be. So, yay. So we've got this. All right, so let me move my stencil stuff off to the side. And we are going to do a little bit of ink blending on the edges of this as well. I know I took the tape again. That's okay. I'm just going to kind of pick this up and do a quick little cleanup. And let's go in. I'm going to just kind of wipe my brush clean a little bit. And then we're going to go in with some abandoned coral. Kind of tap off as much excess as I can. And then just sort of distress the edges. Just like this. Just like that. And up here. Oop, don't want to bend it. Awesome. So we've got our panel. Let's get our tape off the back. I don't think I'm going to be doing any more stenciling work today, so that's great. Okay, next what I'm going to do is, just like the last card, I'm going to take some lumberjack plaid, smush it down, take a distress sprayer. I'm showing you on my face, not right in front of us. Sorry about that. And we are going to use my watercolor brush to splatter. Now, usually I emphasize a clean watercolor brush, and I'm not emphasizing that right now because the last color I splattered with this brush was this, so I don't really need for it to be clean. Just kind of getting this to pool together. All right. If anybody has any questions, make sure to drop it in the comments. I'd be happy to answer any questions. I love how this Cupid item stencil looks. I love the tone-on-tone of using the abandoned coral with the lumberjack plaid on top of the sun-kissed coral paper. It really sort of plays with all the colors. So yay for us with that. Okay. Next, what I want to go ahead and do, You know what I'm realizing is I think that my one light is a little too close, but let's see. There we go. That's a little better. Okay. Perfect. A bit of cleaning. So now what I want to do is from our previous card, I have the inlet shadow that uses that letters stencil. Grab it. I'm doing a very good job. That says love you. And I want to use that on this card. I'm like, why not? I mean, it looks pretty. It's already stenciled and I've got letters in white to go over it. So we're going to do that. I did want to, however, I think I'm going to just sort of blend the edge of this with the residual Kitsch Flamingo ink just to give it a little bit of shading. Yeah, we're going to have to add a little bit more. It's okay. We're at almost 12 minutes. We're doing good. So just going to add a little bit of shading to this. Perfect. Just to give it that little bit of an edge. And then we can start some assembly. And honestly, y'all, I'm not going to be doing too much ink blending for the rest of this video. So we're kind of in the clear with that. So I'm going to grab my love you letters, words, and we are going to adhere them. All right, we're doing pretty good. I actually am fairly confident with this one that doing it in 20 minutes will be an easy feat. Now, yes, I did die cut these in advance. Yes, you can consider that cheating. But also, too, some of us operate where we kind of will die cut multiples and we'll kind of keep them like organized if we need to pull from them later. So maybe it's not cheating. I don't know. All right, so I've got love. Let's put our acrylic block over it. And then you. Perfect. Now I'm going to see a comment in a second about my glue press. Just hasn't fully come over yet. I have the glue press and you've not used it. Jamie, you got to use it. So, okay, talking about the Misty Precision Glue Press, because we're kind of at a point where I'm just doing adhesive and we don't really have to talk in detail about adhesive, the process. But what I love about the glue press is the stand is lovely for it, that it puts everything into place. And what's really important is it also has a spot for the cap of the glue, because the cap of the glue has a needle in it. So if there's ever a clog, it'll help unclog it if you like screw it back on and then take it off. So it kind of always has a place for your cap. So it's really hard to lose your cap. Not saying impossible. I've done it once or twice, but I always end up finding it. And even though it comes with the Nuvo glue, I think that's by default. I think it comes with glue. I know it's the Nuvo glue bottle, but I don't know if there's glue in it. You can use whatever glue you want. You don't have to use the Nuvo. I have in mine, I have Ultra Bond adhesive, which is by Thermoweb. So you could totally do that. I also recently acquired the matte glue from Gina K Designs. I'm very intrigued and wanting to use that soon. So I might be putting that in a second bottle I have. I never do just one die cut of anything. See, some of us have these extra die cuts just sitting around. I also like, don't throw away your scraps, use, like I'm using that little stenciled love you, and I think it's going to work perfectly. But yes, glue press is wonderful. Now what I'm going to do, we've got a little under 5 minutes. I have these foam strips. These are by scrapbook.com. And I am going to use these because what I love about these is you can kind of form them for whatever you need. So I'm going to take the backing off and then I am going to sort of write with them so they fit on the back of my letters. So, I mean, you sometimes have to cut pieces, but that's okay. So I'm going to, let's see, just sort of formulate this around the U. Sorry, I need to do this more so you guys can see it. Sometimes I forget when I'm on camera. Just like this. Yeah. And then just like that. Okay. So let's go ahead. I'm going to put the U on the card because I'm afraid I'm going to end up sticking it to something. I do have to sort of break up this right here because I can see a little bit of white. Perfect. That is not the greatest. I didn't do a great job with this. Oh, this is gonna eat up my time. All right. So we're gonna put this in. Oh, I'm cutting it close, y'all. See, this is what I get for being like, oh, I have time. No, no, ma'am. No, sir. All right. All right, we're going to keep going. And remember, if any of these products, if you guys are so inspired to shop with them, I do have them linked down below for easy shopping. See, the hard part about this is as I want to do embellishments. I'm pushing my limit. See, this is when I start to get quiet and stressed. Oh, it's okay. We're almost there. All right. So I know what I'm going to do with this. I'm going to cheat on this too. So we're going to put this on a card base. And we're going to use just a random embellishment. Where are my enamel dots? Let's see. I cannot be that picky, but it is an option. Okay, I've got some Pink and Main enamel dots. These are called Pretty Posies. We're going to use this. Let's see. Well, the adhesive came off that. Oh my goodness. We're going to be doing this just under the buzzer. Oh, darn it. 4 seconds over. 5 seconds. Why is this not pausing? There we go. 8 seconds over. Well, I've got one little sad enamel dot. And I am going to fix this, but I came real close. Real close. So let's see. Let's go ahead. Put that down. Just like that. Okay. Second card. 8 seconds over. I think it's the foam tape kind of did me in. But we used another shortcut technique and we used enamel dots. So I do have card number 2 done. Real close. I guess this is considered a fail technically, but 8 seconds wouldn't be the end of the world. So we've got card number 1 done and card number 2 done. See, I get real quiet, but I think it turned out real nice. So I've got 2 different love yous. This one clearly you can tell has a little bit more effort, but this one is still real cute as well. Definitely has some time that we took to get all the stenciling done. Love how this looks. All right. No, thank you, Jamie. I think it turned out pretty well. We have 1 card left. So let's just set these off to the side. We're going to get card number 3 ready. Do a little bit of cleanup. Remember, cleanup time doesn't count. We're going to switch our timer or reset our timer. All right. Last card. So we've already done stenciling, but if we're going down from 20 minutes to making sure that this is going to be no more than 10 minutes, stenciling is out the door. So we're not going to stencil. What we are going to do, though, is we're going to utilize basically pre-made stenciling, and we're going to use pattern paper. So before I get started, I do want to show you, I'm going to be pulling in the Bitsy Blooms, I apologize, pattern paper set. This is by Lawn Fawn. Real excited to use this. It's going to be great. We're going to utilize one of the crosshatch patterns. This sort of red-ish pink crosshatch pattern. You can see my finger that I've been alcohol marker coloring. This was from yesterday. It takes forever to clean, but there's a lot of fun colors if we wanted to change what we wanted to use. Love this. This came out, I think it was last spring during one of their releases. I don't think I've pulled this out in a little bit, so happy to be doing this with y'all today. Yay. So let's go ahead. We're going to reset the timer and we're going to get into our 3rd card. I've got my little tray ready to go and I cannot start until I click start. Okay, so what we're going to do with this one is I'm not going to do any ink blending, but I am going to, oops, sorry about the little jiggling. We're going to do some ink splattering, but I'm going to use some Abandoned Coral Oxide inks. And the reason being is because sometimes I have trust issues when it comes to pattern paper, and I don't know how porous this is going to be. I know that oxide splatter really well, so that's why I'm like, you know what? Let's be safe. I'm going to pull an oxide instead of a distress ink. So I'm going to smush down Abandoned Coral Oxide ink. This is not the distress that we've been using. I am also going to clean off my splatter brush, just like that. And then I am going to, I didn't put any water in this. There we go. Pick this up. And splatter. This is that one extra detail, and of course I did cut this with a stitched rectangle die. All 3 cards I used the stitched rectangle die set 1 from Pink and Main. Kind of a go-to. Lawn Fawn also has great rectangle stackables. I love their inside out stackables as well, because they have the inside out for the rectangles so you can use them together, and I think it works really nicely. So keep that in mind as well. Check something real quick. All right. Go back to Ecan. There we go. So yeah, you can totally splatter on pattern paper. Like I said, oxides are a great ink to do with it because they don't require your paper to be porous, so they can sit on top of your paper nicely. So I find that oxides splatter really well, but they do take a little bit extra to dry. So I am going to set this off to the side. And then next, what I'm going to go ahead and do is we're going to get our sentiment ready. And we're going to do Love You. And I have some of that cherry red cardstock that I'm going to use. And just on plain red paper that I used from Paper Scraps. So we're going to grab tweezers. If I have the time, I'm going to use foam strips. If I don't have the time, I won't. See, but like it's all about finding out what sort of techniques take the most amount of time, what are easy things to cut in order to make something more time efficient. You might find that like shadow layering die cuts are not going to be your best friend. when it comes to working quickly. I wanted to make sure to choose die cuts that were full words and not ones that I was going to have to put all of the letters into place, because that definitely takes some time. This I can kind of just push everything into place pretty nicely. Okay, and let's see. I have a different craft block. We're going to utilize that, and we're going to work on the U. So we've really kind of covered a lot of different techniques and explored like the obvious ones, like a shaker is going to take a lot of time. So make sure if you're rushing out the door that you're not like, I'm going to make a shaker card. Now, something you could do though with a shaker card is I know that there are companies out there and they currently have pre-made like shaker pockets that you could utilize, and all you'd have to do is take like an A2 size piece of paper and then put it in the pocket, pour the shaker elements, and you're kind of good to go. So if you have those on hand, you could totally do that, and that could be an easy card. Do I have any on hand? I don't know. I don't remember. Probably if I dug enough. Y'all, I'm like, sometimes I just forget what I already have, and then I'll dig a year later, and I'm just like, oh, that's right, I bought this. So anyways, all right, so what we're going to do next is get my foam tape out. And I don't know, I think my strategy last time with the foam tape didn't really help me. So I think what I'm going to do is instead of putting it behind the whole image, I'm just going to do the easy parts to give it some support. Because, hey, we're supposed to be doing this quickly. So, works for me. Now with this foam tape though, you do, if you want to kind of curve it around, you do have to take the backing off of it, because that kind of prohibits, if you leave the backing tape on, is kind of prohibiting the curvature of the tape. All right, 5, we're getting there. I think I can comfortably say with this one will be okay. So let's see. So we're going to do love. I didn't take the foam tape off. Oh my goodness. See, this is the universe punishing me because they're like, oh, you think you're going to be done in enough time. Stay tuned, friend. All right. We're getting there. All right, you got love. It's a really good tip, Jude. I've been doing it for a little bit. I saw someone else do it the other day. It was Mindy Egan. I saw her do it, and I'm like, oh, I'm not alone in this. But I'm sure it's something that is not original to me, is I guess what I'm politely trying to say. Somebody I'm sure did it first. The only thing I feel like that I see people pick up a lot from me, and I'm not saying like I'm the one who started it, but a lot of times when I ink blend, I'll pull an acrylic block out and use it to protect my fingers, and people be like, that's a great tip. So I always make sure to talk about it. But I don't often take credit for being the first of anything, because there are a lot of people that came before me in this industry, and I just enjoy creating. And I'm sure everything I'm doing on this card in some way, shape, or form is inspired by someone else, what I've seen. I'm not saying I'm like duplicating a card from them, but there's so much fantastic inspiration out there. And sometimes it just like is subconsciously like in us. And then we decide like, oh, I'm going to do this. And then it's like, well, if you look at what watching on YouTube 2 weeks ago, like, of course you want to do this. Like, this is what so-and-so was working on. If that makes sense. All right, we're getting there. Love. Okay, all the tape is off. Just wanted to make sure. Not all the tape is off. One piece is not. There we go. One big piece was not off. All right. I think this is also going to be an enamel dot card if we want to get it done on time. And that's okay. Put it on a card base. I always like to do the card base before I do the embellishments, just because I feel like the embellishments need to be last. All right, it just says love you. Real nice and easy. Let's see. Every once in a while, I lose the adhesive to one of my embellishments, but all right. Oh, this was close. But I did it, 9:49. So can I take the 11 seconds I have left on this card and apply it to the 8 seconds I went over on the other card and still be ahead 3 seconds? I don't know. Y'all be the y'all be the judge. I don't know. Oh my goodness. But yay. Okay. Thank you all so very much for sticking with me through all of this. I want to go over the cards that I made, and so we can show you everything. So, all right, so I'm going to take my timer off. It is, there we go. And we're just going to kind of show each of the cards, go over them. This was really fun. This was really, really fun. I'm so very happy that we went through everything together. And we made 3 fantastic cards, all kind of decreasing in time consumption. We can also say decreasing in difficulty as well. So let's start with the first card that we made. And we did a shaker card, and we did a 3-layer stencil with it. And then what we also did was add a couple clay slice embellishments as well. So I thought this turned out really nicely. What I love about it is it definitely gives a nice pop when someone receives it. This is not a card I think someone's going to look at and say, oh, you rushed to get this done. We used a couple techniques, layered stencils, shaker sets, ink blending. I think those are all techniques that really help bring that final project, giving those finished edges to make it popped. I'm also going to stay behind that using a stitched die like this rectangle is really, really going to help keep everything sort of clean cut and well measured. So this was card number 1. And then for card number 2, we said goodbye to our shaker element, and we only did a 2-layer stencil, but it still let us get those nice clean cut edges. So we utilized our ink blending techniques to make this card pop. We also utilized some scraps of paper to help make this pop as well. And I think that this turned out really, really nicely. And then we did this one in 8 seconds over 20 minutes. So this was our only fail today. I don't think fail, but whatever. And for our last card, we said goodbye to the stencil work. We said goodbye to the shaker element still, and we're like, hello, pattern paper. So we utilized some Bitsy Blossoms paper by Lawn Fawn and some die cutting. Got everything taken care of. For these two cards to save on time, we pulled in enamel dots, which was a great time-saving technique. I had to kind of think about that on the fly just because utilizing the clay slices were a little bit more time consuming. And you're using liquid adhesive having to make it dry. So there you go. We've got all three cards. What's Jamie? Jamie says you can make a card number one, a 20-minute card by not making it a shaker would still be cute. Absolutely. Well, you are totally right. I think time-wise we were right about there. But absolutely. This is really kind of about taking the steps of making your card and then throwing them in reverse to see if I take this out, how much time am I going to save? And I really feel like we noticed that like the shaker took time and then it was the layered stencil took time. And at the end of the day, if you really want to do a shortcut card, don't do either of them and just use pattern paper. Just ideas of techniques. So nothing too crazy. All right, so let's switch back to my face. Hello. All right, so we are all done with today's live. I will make sure to get these photographed and uploaded to my Instagram. I'll probably do a quick blog post with them. You should see it by tomorrow is my thought. Wanted to take a moment. We had a great conversation today. Everyone has been so wonderful and so lovely, and I thank you all for stopping by. If you have not yet already, that is what I'm trying to say, please make sure to like and subscribe to my YouTube channel. I have a handful of videos that are going to be coming out in the next couple weeks. Also, I am about to reach 4,000 followers on Instagram. I am like less than 30 away. If you don't follow me on Instagram, I suspect most of you probably do because I know I advertise this over there as well, and that's probably the place I advertise this the most. Please, I'd love if you went ahead and found me on Instagram, give me a follow. I have a really fun 4,000 follower event planned that I have in the works. But I'm also one of those people where like on Instagram, your follower count can kind of waver a little bit. So I want to make sure we clear it, get a little bit past it. And then I'm hoping to do that event shortly thereafter. If you guys know in the past, I've done events when I've reached other 1,000 follower counts. So this one is promised to be bigger and better than those. And I'm also planning to give more away than usual. But details to come on that. So, like I said, like and subscribe if you don't already to my YouTube channel. Also, follow me on Instagram for more inspiration. I have video inspiration heading your way later this week. I think Wednesday is my next scheduled video. I also have a Kindred Stamps Facebook Live replay that's going to get uploaded this weekend as well. So you'll have some inspiration with that. And yeah, thank you all so very much for stopping by today. I'm so very appreciative for you. Remember, no live stream next week. I'm going to be out of town, and then I will post about when my next one is. I'm not for certain if we're going to have one on the 28th yet or not, but that also means we could, so you never know. Thank you all so very much once again for stopping by for my shortcut Valentine video. I can't wait to craft with you guys again really soon. I'm having so much fun with these live streams, and we have one comment. Any events you're participating in soon? Yeah, I could definitely plug what I've got coming up. Might as well before we close out. I'm going to be at the Kindred Stamps Retreat in Orlando this upcoming weekend, the weekend of the 20th. Probably not, it was a registered event. There might be a couple spots still open for if there were any last minute cancellations. If you're in the Orlando area, send me a message. I can get the details for you. Totally understand something like that is hard to put together last weekend, especially if you're not from the area. Further, I do have SBC Fest coming up on March 13th. So I know we're at just about the 1 month mark. I think it was 4 weeks from yesterday. I am one of the instructors. I am crafting along some fantastic creators, providing so much inspiration. Megan Andrews is going to be there. Gina Kay, Vicky Booten, I think Leah Lawson. I'm trying to remember. I know the first three I said, but I think Leah's going to be there as well. Some fantastic people. Laura Graff, of course, Cody and Laura from scrapbook.com. Laura's going to be teaching a class. Some fantastic inspiration. And I know you're going to learn a lot. I can't give away what my card's going to be yet. I can just promise you it's chock full of color. I have a YouTube video uploaded of homework that needs to be done. Kind of gives you some tips and hints of what's to come, but nothing concrete. Beyond that, though, just keep up to date with my Instagram, my YouTube, and my blog for future releases. And yeah, and I think that's about it for right now. Oh, Jamie, you're so sweet. Thanks so much for stopping by and being so conversational with me today. I appreciate that so very much. And so, thank you once again for stopping by. I hope you guys have a wonderful Valentine's Day, whether you are celebrating with a loved one or celebrating yourself, because let's be honest, you deserve all the love. So thank you guys once again. I'm going to go ahead and get this all closed out. I will see you again real soon and have a great rest of your day. Goodbye.